Jamie, thanks for coming. You organized a group of scientists and academics to call for a deeper investigation into COVID's origin. Explain why it's so important to determine exactly where this came from.
It's critically important, Shep. There's a reason why when a plane crashes, we do everything possible to understand what happened. Until we know other planes are in the air, until we know how this pandemic started, we're all unnecessarily at risk. And that's why from day one, from the earliest days of the pandemic last year, I and a small number of others, and it's great that this number is growing, have been calling for a full investigation into all origin hypotheses, including what I see as a very likely possibility that this pandemic started from an accidental lab incident followed by a criminal cover-up.
You said a likely possibility. Are you saying you think
Yes.
it's likely that that's the way it happened and that they've been covering it up?
Yes, I
Why?
think that's the most likely hypothesis. Well, first you have to look at what this is. It's a bad coronavirus. Why would you have a bad coronavirus outbreak in Wuhan and not in southern China where these horseshoe bats are located? And what we know what they do have in Wuhan is China's only level 4 virology institute with the world's largest collection of bat coronaviruses that was doing aggressive research designed to make those pathogens more dangerous. They have a spotty safety record. And then we know that the virus, after the outbreak, was fully adapted for human-to-human transmission. That raises a lot of questions. And on the other side, there are a number of people who still believe, and it's a possibility, this comes from a natural jump in the wild, but there have been more than 80,000 animals sequenced in China, and there's not a trace of evidence supporting that hypothesis.
I don't really care where it comes from. I just care if we stop it, right? Like it might have been an accident. If it was on purpose, then I care. Too many people are blaming Asian people, Asian Americans, Asian in general people for this. I just want to say it's not all Asian people's fault if it came from one lab in China. It might be that one lab's fault. America has done a ton of things wrong. Like, think about Syria. Like, we've bombed Syria. Let's say someone gets bombed in Syria and then goes up to you in the United States and says, it was your fault. It wasn't your fault. It was your government's fault. So please don't blame Asian people for this, because for some reason that's been happening and there's been a lot of hate towards them. That's why Stop Asian Hate has been trending, understandably. I hope it wasn't made on purpose, because that's very scary. First of all, do you think it came from a lab rather than like a bat? And if it did, do you think they spread it on purpose?